Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Ginger Realtor Show. It is Monday, which can only mean Mike Longman and the guys from the mortgage firm. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure you're getting all this content straight as soon as it comes out. I had a little bit of a delay last week due to being overly busy, but we are back and we're in full flow. So the one thing I want to talk about this week, Mike, is the Sitzer Burnett case. Obviously, it's been rocking our world here in the real estate world for the last couple of years while we're waiting to see how it's going to impact. I think the NAR decision to bottle the fight and settle definitely made for interesting reading. And I wanted to see how you guys saw that impacting the mortgage world.
I mean, for us, it's interesting. So I've read a lot about it, and obviously you hear all mixed opinions. Everybody's all over the board on it. Some people think it's not going to do much. Some people think it's the end of the world. From a mortgage perspective, I mean, as a mortgage professional for 24 years, I've always been inside of a real estate office for the most part. Yeah, I bounce around and I go out and I do marketing events, and you see me at places out and about, but I'm inside of real estate offices, and I have been in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, down here in Florida, for 20 some odd years. So my business model has always been to go and build relationships with my referral partners who happen to be, I built my model around buyer's agents, because the buyer's agents are the ones that are taking the buyers out. The buyers are the ones that need the mortgages, and that's how I would get my referrals. So, and I don't think that's going to change. I really, personally, my opinion is it's not going to change. We went through this 10 some odd years ago in the mortgage industry with Dodd-Frank and the whole TRID thing, what is that, TILA, RESPA, Integrated Disclosure Act that they came up with. I was a self-employed broker up in New Jersey, and we thought it was the end of the world. It cut our commissions, it cut our income drastically. But there's always, I don't want to say workaround, but there's always ways that you just settle and it becomes the norm and it's business as usual. So I think from our perspective, from a mortgage perspective, we just continue to do what we're doing, because in the long run, the buyer's agents are going to continue doing what they were doing, and the sellers are going to realize that the commission has to be there in order for business to take place.
No, I 100% agree. I think any agent out there who thinks it's the end of the world, it probably is for them. They're probably not going to survive. They're not going to be able to adapt, and they're not going to move forward.
They probably weren't going to survive anyway, though.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there's 15,000 realtors in the greater Tampa area.
Wow.
I think we could drop 20% of those comfortably, because they don't have the fight in them, and I'm going to use a very British word, the gumption, that kind of like nous to be able to go out and adapt their business. So I think for them it could be very impactful. Looking at the way that it's worded, the good thing is they're not stopping sellers from paying buyer agent commission.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not allowed to publish what they're paying or if they're paying. So it's going to take a lot more work for buyers and sellers agents communicating with each other, which can only be a good thing for the industry. But I think what I'm looking at is, do you anticipate anything changing in the way that mortgage financing occurs to allow the buyer's agency to be paid from the buyer, like to wrap it into the mortgage? Because that's what it is right now. It's all built into one big lump sum that's paid out, and then the seller distributes it. Whereas this way, the buyer says, okay, I'll give you $375,000 for your house, plus 3% on the loan to pay my agent.
So I don't know the ruling on using it as a seller concession. So I was told originally that Fannie and Freddie were saying, no, you can't incorporate the buyer's commission into a seller concession. And then we had a marketing flyer made the other day that was made by a compliance company, and I saw that it was. So I questioned it. So they have it over at legal right now. I mean, if they do, I mean, right? I mean, if you're allowed to put it into, if you sell a house for $375,000, and you say, and that 3% is built into for the selling agent, the listing agent, if you put 2% or 3% or 2.5%, whatever the buyer's agent normally gets or wants or is requesting, if you put that into a seller concession on the mortgage and it's paid out and then just financed by the buyer over the course of 30 years, much more palatable, right? I mean,
which effectively is what's happening now.
yeah. So I just don't know if Fannie and Freddie said that you could do that. I'm waiting on an answer. It's supposed to come back today. I originally heard no, and then I heard yes. And when I hear two things like that from two, reputable sources,
Mm-hmm.
I want clarification before I go, spewing it all over the country. So I will be, when I'm in the office later on today, I will be in and I'll find out a little bit more about that. But that would be the answer. I just think it's going to be business as usual shortly. They're just looking to pick on somebody. They picked on us. Now they're picking on you guys.
Look, I mean, look, without wanting to get too far into it, because I can jump into this on a deep end level. I think any seller who thinks that not offering a buyer commission is going to help them sell their home is kidding only themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there are going to be, I can see two things occurring from this. I can see a lot of douchebag realtors listing with just 3% and nothing paid out. And I can see maybe the start of a flat fee buyer service industry, kind of like a Foxton, but just for buyers. So look, pay me $2,500 and we'll help you buy your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like anything with discount, when you discount it, you get the lowest kind of common denominator agent that's working in there.
The lowest
And
service, the lowest exposure. I mean,
and it only ever benefits the person who's receiving the money, not the person who's spending it.
yeah. So
Interestingly, we were out photo shooting a new listing that I'm sitting in open house for this Sunday, or yesterday, because technically we record these on a Friday. And the story of the buyer was that they'd gone into a new build, unrepresented with by an agent. Turns out the house, less than 2 years, they realized the house is too small and they're looking to sell. The problem is they grossly overpaid for the house. And it's probably now worth $50,000 less than they overpaid on it. And now they're struggling to be able to sell. So if you think that a buyer's agent doesn't have a place in the hierarchy of real estate, just look at that situation there, because they're going to take a 25 grand hit minimum.
yeah. Yeah. It's
to sell that home that just didn't work out because they weren't represented by a professional in negotiation and throughout the process.
like right now we're in an industry or a market right now where houses aren't flying off the shelves. They're just not right now. I mean, they're going, but they're not. It's not crazy right now.
If priced right, they go quick.
Yeah, yeah, and if they're in that right price point, right? But if you're selling your house and you're only paying out 3% just to the listing agent and nothing else, I just think your exposure is going to be a lot less. The less people are going to look at your house, and the less opportunity of somebody buying your house. So.
And this is where the not ethics comes into it. Like as a realtor, I'm not allowed to not show something or not send it to a client based on commission paid out. Mm-hmm. Because unlike every other profession in the world, I'm not supposed to be in this for the money. Let's get something right, guys. I don't do this for a charitable donation. This is purely my career. This is exactly how I feed my family. I'm in this for the money. I just enjoy what I do. Yeah. So the thought of me showing you a house that's only going to pay me $1,000 on a $600,000 transaction, it's not happening. I will send it to you. I will explain that you're going to be on the hook for the remainder of the balance, and then you can decide whether you see that house or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. I mean,
okay,
I think
so that's it. So we don't think, according to Mike, that it's going to impact the industry too much. I think it'll be a little bit of unease. Have you seen anything as far as rates are concerned that's kind of hit the industry as kind of frightening us?
No, rates are still hovering under 7%. I mean, on a 30-year fixed. I mean, 15 years. Oh, thanks. 15 years aren't that popular right now, but the 30-year fix is running. I think the average is like 6.91 or something like that in the country. So it's I don't really I think it's a shock and awe right now. I mean, the realtors are everybody's freaking out. Everybody loves something negative to talk about. It's just it's how we are. It's plain and simple. People like to cry. It's much easier to cry than to be happy. It seems like.
Yeah, look, for the most part, I think do I think it's positive? No, I don't. I think it's one of those things, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And the irony was that of the plaintiffs who complained about having to pay their buyers on their seller side, 86% of them actually bought a house and benefited from that same relationship. So it was a ridiculous lawsuit brought forward by an opportunistic attorney who's now trying to get a third of all the payouts.
Yeah.
The irony is maybe something should come into play to kind of limit the legal industry's commissions.
Yeah, so we'll see how it pans out. I mean, it's going to be it makes for an interesting talk inside the real estate offices.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I think we're good for that. I think we've covered what we need to do. Oh, VA. So the only issue we've got right now with the settlement is how if a seller's not paying anything out, how the VA owner or the VA buyer would pay their agent. So obviously VA is very restrictive on how it allows compensation. So stay tuned for that one. That one is still up in the air. And my understanding is NAR and the VA are in conversation. So we'll wait to hear from that. But at the moment, this doesn't kick in till mid-July. So business as usual.
That's right.
Some referrals. Let's get you some business. And guys, if you're looking to buy in the Tampa area, I'm here. If you need financing, Mike's here. Mike can finance you still financing in New Jersey if available?
Yeah, my office does New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Alabama, Florida, and then our company does, I think, 28 total states.
Okay, so you need a mortgage anywhere in the US, we can pretty much hook you up.
Pretty much.
Okay, Mike, thanks for joining us again this week. We will see you next week with a little bit more brightness as opposed to the dim and gloom of SATSA. Guys, that's all we have time for this week. We'll catch you same place next week. Thank you.
Have a great week.